The race is going green. There's a green light.
Welcome everyone to another NASCAR Heat Evolution gameplay video. In this video, we're going to be at Texas, the Lone Star State. We're starting on the pole in a race against the AI, 105% AI, and it's going to be for 43 laps, or at least that's the plan. We'll see how that all works out. I was very surprised that we started on the pole. Woo, that is not good. Car did not stick well at all going into turn 3, so we'll just take the high groove. All right, see if we can get it down to, yeah, there we go. It's at least running in that second groove. So I really enjoy Texas. It's while it in some respects is very similar to Atlanta in the distance, both are 1.5 mile tracks, but the transitions, the banking transitions into and off the corners, very abrupt in Texas. As you can see here, as we go into turn 1, it's a very flat entry. Same thing going into turn 3. And then coming off of turn 2, just like coming off of turn 4, it's very flat. Makes it easy to get into trouble into and off the corners. You got the banking in the middle of the corner, but it drops off abruptly coming off, so it's very easy for the car to get away from you. Either if the car is loose, it's very easy for that back end to swing around on exit and want to pop the wall. Just the opposite if you're tight. That front end doesn't want to turn, and that right front corner is hunting the wall. All right, so far this race seems to be very uneventful. Not what I was expecting at all. We're here on lap 4, and let's see what we've got. All right, that's not the one I want. Let me try to drive and push buttons at the same time. All right, we are, looks like almost 2 seconds up on second place. Again, not what I was expecting. I haven't spent a whole lot of any time at Texas. I've spent most of my time at Atlanta, if we're talking about 1.5 mile tracks. But right now, let's try to see what kind of lap times the AI are running. We were 2.2 seconds ahead, roughly, at the start-finish line. And I'm going to have to try to drive and look at the display at the same time, which is more of a challenge than maybe it should be. All right, so we're up, wow, we're up 2.7 seconds now. Surely we're not a half a second a lap faster than them. Let's see if that continues. I definitely would not expect that. I mean, I am able to run this track basically flat out. I am lifting, I don't know if you can pick it up on the audio, but I am lifting just a touch on entry, and that's it. Just a touch. And in fact, I wouldn't even say I'm coming up to 75% throttle. I'm only coming up to maybe 90%, 85% throttle at most, and then I'm right back in it for the remainder of the lap. So very peculiar. I would have expected more out of the AI here. In fact, that time going into turn 3, I barely lifted at all. In fact, I'm not even sure I intended to lift, but I'm actually not sure I actually did. Lifted just a hair there, getting into the corner. Doesn't take much here. In fact, with a little bit more work on the setup, it may not take any. So we're up by 3.8 seconds. At this rate, with being that far ahead of second place, I would imagine that it won't be long before we'll start seeing the AI in front of us for lap cars. So we're running about 29.5 second laps, which is not the quickest I've run on this track. In practice earlier, I think I was down around a 29 flat to a 29.1 on the quicker laps. But here, this is odd, I have to admit. I was not expecting this. All right, we got down there a little bit under a 29.4 that time. And the closer I get to running the absolute bottom of the track, that's probably going to have a bigger effect on our lap times. But as you can see, I'm not even worried about getting down to the very bottom of the track. No real reason to worry about it. So we're now 5 seconds up. See what happens if we can get that right down there, fairly close to the bottom, to that white line. Again, I'm just barely off the throttle any at all. In fact, this is one of those tracks where your right foot can get a cramp by the end of the race, because basically you spend the entire race wide open. All right, let's run up a little bit higher here. And the car feels good. That's one thing I do have to say for this game. For all of its shortcomings, the car does feel good running anywhere on the track. And I find that you're able to run, the bottom, middle, or top successfully. Now, as always, you'll find that one groove suits your driving style and setup more than the others, and one groove will ultimately be faster, but as far as getting around the track, you definitely got options, particularly in a place like this. All right, so we are definitely pulling well away from second place. That lap information that pops up on the right-hand side of the screen at the end of each lap really doesn't do too good of a job of catching my eye, because basically I forget that it's coming up there, and by the time I realize it's there, it's already gone. So I'll try to take a look this time as we cross the line. All right, so we got 28 laps to go, and again, we're running right around 29.4s and 29.5s, it seems, for the most part. And I really, really thought there was going to be more AI competition. At 105%, so we're now up 7 seconds on second place. And it looks like they're starting to spread out a little bit behind that as you go from, 0.6 of a second to third, and then about 1.5 seconds to fourth, and then so on back. So I'm expecting to start seeing some lap cars in front of me. One thing that we will be able to do in this particular run is get a gauge on the tire wear, see what kind of fall off we've got in lap times. So far we haven't seen any, and that's not very realistic at all. I don't know any numbers from Texas specifically, but I can tell you that at somewhere like Atlanta, you basically within the first 10 laps have already lost anywhere from 1 second to 1.5 seconds easy off your lap times. And here we're able to run consistently the same lap times over and over when you adjust for which groove I'm running. We're able to get down into the 3s, as you can see there. And of course, the lower on the track I'm able to run in the corner, the quicker overall the lap time will be, considering the fact that I'm all but running this thing flat out. So we're now up 9 seconds. This makes me think something's wrong internally within the game, because if you remember back to the Atlanta video, I started from the back. Maybe I'll have to do another race here at Texas and start from the back and see if that's what does it. But I did notice during the practice session immediately before this that I was catching and passing even the cars that normally run at the front, like Jimmy Johnson, somebody like that, cars that would normally run at the very front of the pack. I noticed that I was catching them and passing them pretty easily, but I figured that was going to change when I got into the race. But as you can see, that is definitely not changed in the race.
Okay, that's the halfway mark now.
All right, so he's just announced halfway. Oh, car's getting very loose on me there. Is that tire wear coming into play? Tire wear definitely doesn't seem to be affecting my lap times, but maybe it's going to affect the handling. Again, we'll find out. So we're down to 20 laps to go here at Texas, and at this point it just feels like I'm running a leisurely solo practice session, because we can't see another soul on the track anywhere. And maybe it's just me, but at this point it seems like they're actually slowing down. The AI is actually slowing down. All right, so we're 11.1, maybe 11.2 as we reach the line to start that lap. Let's see what they are when we come back around. This will give us a better idea of, all right, I'm starting to see some cars ahead of us there, and there's actually several cars there, which is not good because I've had a lot of trouble out of the AI in my short amount of time I've spent on this track, and most of it comes through the trial oval. All right, so we were ahead 11.6 there. So it looks like we're 4 or 5 tenths still per lap ahead of them, which I believe is what we were at the beginning of the race as well. But as far as the AI here, as I've mentioned in previous videos, in general, if you can get them by themselves, or maybe 2 or 3 of them, then you'll be fine. But one of the little hiccups that I've seen at this track is that they have a hard time getting through the trial oval sometimes. Sometimes I'm running side by side with them through the trial oval, and for some reason it's like they just turn dead right, and the next thing I know, I'm in the wall. So it's a little awkward that would happen through the trial oval, because you would think running side by side that it shouldn't be too much trouble to get through here side by side. There's plenty of room to do so. But for some reason, they have a hard time with it. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen as I come up on these lap cars. Hopefully we'll be able to finish this entire race without incident. But you never know. The race may be cut short. All right, so we've got 15 laps to go. Again, I've seen no tire wear to speak of. I'm basically running the same laps as I was at the beginning of the race. Yeah, 29:34 there. That's basically what I was running at the beginning of the race. And there's more to be had here for sure. As I mentioned earlier, I was down into the 29, around 29 flat, 29.1 or so for my quicker laps in practice. But I think there may be a little bit more than that. It's going to be hard for me to get a whole lot more than that, simply because I'm all but flat out at this point. So At this point, you're sort of splitting hairs and trying to pick up time.
All clear.
All right, now this has got me a little worried because I'm coming up on these guys. Now, through the corner shouldn't be too much of a problem. At least I wouldn't think so. What's got me worried is going through this trial.
There.
All right, he came up too high on me there, but I had plenty of room to back off and just let him in. So basically, I'm going to try to clear as many of these guys as I can through the corners
Car low.
because I don't trust them very much at all.
Still there.
I'm going to try to give them lots of room
Car low.
and hope they don't wreck me. All right, so see, they come up a little bit too far, but that's nothing too crazy there.
Still there.
And in the corners, you can generally, unless they're running side by side, you can generally expect them to hug that bottom, that white line pretty good. Oh, okay. I guess he wanted to come up there, and he felt I was in his way. Okay. So again, that's the kind of thing that you worry about with the AI in this game, is that all of a sudden they just decide they need to be wherever you are,
Still there.
and they will not lift. They'll simply run you over, or like in that case, he just ran me into the wall.
All clear.
So we'll keep going and hope that that doesn't continue to happen. All right, so as I come up on McDowell here, I'm really going to be hoping I can pass him through turns 1 and 2.
All clear.
No, he's still there,
Still
but we're
there.
okay
All clear.
down the back stretch as he was giving me room. Now this worries me. I'm going to be going through the tri-oval here around Smith. Okay, but not side by side, so we're okay there. You can see a net there come up the track a little bit on entry. Oh, okay, thank you very much. That's okay. I was out there, but no problem. Just the leader coming through. You don't really need to give him any room. Yikes.
Still there.
And folks, that stuff right there can be infuriating. Oh, there we go. He's bumping me here, so sure, no problem. I'll just give you the entire
All
track.
clear.
Although it'd be nice if you give me at least a lane. So now we're going to try to pass these two cars again.
Still there.
So like I said, it's with this game, if the AI wants the spot you're in, they don't care that you're already there. They'll just take it. And he's bumping me again coming off the corner.
You're all clear. All clear.
I think I'm just going to stay up in this second groove here. And again, as I come across 2 or 3 of these at a time, I'm basically just hoping that they'll give me some room, because I'm definitely going to try to give them a bunch. You know, in general, you could say, well, there's 5 laps to go. There's really no reason to push the issue, but that's not really the point for this video.
All clear.
You know, I mean, whether I win this race or not, whether I end up wrecking out or whatever, really doesn't matter. Oh, and there we go again. He's decided that I am on his track and I am not welcome. Thank you very much, sir.
Still there.
So the battering ram is in full effect. They just really don't want me anywhere around.
Stay high. Still there. You're all clear.
One thing you won't notice much of. Oh, there we go. Wow. Okay. Just come right up there. Luckily, I was able to get out of the throttle
Still there.
and let him in. Woo. Okay. The one thing you won't see a lot of in this game is the AI wrecking each other,
Still
because you
there.
can tell they're running pre-programmed lines. So they run where they're supposed to, basically. The problem is they don't seem to recognize that there are players on the track sometimes. It's almost as if they forget that there's anybody out there other than just an AI race. And as you can see from the top left, the guys behind me, even through all of this turmoil of me getting pinched into the wall and almost wrecked multiple times, it hasn't made any difference in how far behind me they are. I may not be gaining quite as much on them as I normally would, but they're definitely not gaining on me.
Still there. You're all clear.
All right, I was really hoping to check tire wear.
Stay high.
All right, please give me room. Please give me room. Please give me room.
Stay high.
And it appears as though he's going to give me enough to get by. Although we're still on the final lap here. There's still time. All right, Trevor Bain. All right, so everybody's getting down and out of the way. Again, I'm just going to keep pressing the issue because, well, that's what the video is about. Just showing you what the AI are prone to do.
Great job.
All right, so it gave you a chance to see some of the AI behavior on this particular track. Like I said, there's just a lot of times they just don't seem to know or care that you're in a certain spot, so they would just ram you out of the way. If they're coming up behind you, they'll ram you out of the way. If they're coming up beside you, doesn't matter. They're going to go where they're going to go. It's predetermined, apparently. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry there wasn't more AI interactivity until toward the end when we caught some lap cars, but at that point you definitely got to see how the AI behave when you're around them. Hope you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for more Knee Pit Gaming NASCAR Heat Evolution gameplay videos.